All right, Emily, thank you so much. And right now, the polls are open in Michigan for voting in one of the Democrats' biggest primaries of the year. A high-stakes showdown between the establishment and the party's socialist wing. What a day it's going to be. Hello, I'm John Roberts in Washington. Sandra, good to see you.
And good to be with you, John. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. This is America Reports. Far-left candidate Abdul El-Sayed is taking on Congresswoman Haley Stevens in a race that could say a lot about where the Democrat Party is heading next. With control of a crucial Senate seat also at stake, Republicans are already arguing a victory for El-Sayed would pull the party too far to the left.
They are very radical, and they are way too extreme for Michigan. I mean, Abdul is he has his own special sauce of crazy. The Democrat Socialists of America are in Michigan working for him right now. They're parachuting in from all over the country. If you believe in the future of America and your own prosperity and your individual liberties, well, bam, we're going to talk about it, because they've got plans to take all that away.
Domenech and Dan Kanninen on deck to examine this from all the angles.
Looking forward to that. But first, let's kick things off with our correspondent, Garrett Tenney. He's reporting live from Detroit for us. Hey, Garrett.
Hey, Sandra. Haley Stevens' campaign says she needs to do well here in Detroit if she's going to have any chance at winning this race. And party leaders believe she gives them their best shot at beating Mike Rogers and holding on to this Senate seat. But coming into Election Day, Abdul El-Sayed is feeling really confident about his chances. He has been leading in the polls, and his campaign says they have more than 12,000 volunteers working to get out the vote. Here's part of his closing message to supporters last night.
We've got a lot to get done in the next 13 weeks. We've got to continue to build a movement that's going to take on the fascism of Donald Trump, that's going to take on the rampant corporate corruption of Mike Rogers, and that's going to win us a Senate majority.
Today will also give us a sense of how a lot of these socialist ideas are playing with swing state voters in the Midwest. Here's a taste of what some of those voters are saying.
I voted for Stevens because she's a good Democrat. She's trustworthy.
I voted for Abdul El-Sayed. I really believe that our country needs a non-establishment type of person at this stage.
He's a very good candidate. He's smart, and I'm looking for a change.
It gives me a lot of anxiety because I know Haley is the person for this job. She has a proven track record.
That anxiety over this race is shared by Democratic Party officials who will learn a lot from today's results about where the party's base is going into November and beyond. Sandra?
All right, Garrett Tenney there out of Detroit for us. Garrett, thank you. John?
All right, now to look at it from all the angles here now. Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor, and Dan Kanninen, former Battleground State Director for the Harris-Walz campaign. I want to add a few more voters' voices to what we heard there in Garrett's fine report, because it looks like people are buying into the El-Sayed story. Listen here.
So I voted for El-Sayed just because I think he's trying to try something new.
He's incredibly liberal and I think speaks up on a lot of issues that I think a lot of people are afraid to. I think there's a good chance that a lot of people are more liberal-leaning from past elections, and I think we're heading in the direction where there's going to be more change.
The money spent in politics, there's just way too much of it. We need to cut that out. So we looked for the person who wasn't using AIPAC money and voted for him.
Well, there's across a lot of varying demographics. It looks like people are buying into the lurch to the left, Dan, and that El-Sayed could win it running away today.
I think there is, John, undeniably some energy on the far left in this DSA place, even in places like Michigan, not just New York. But there's also an anti-establishment piece of this, which is that the Democratic Party and voters that were mad at people like me for losing the election in 2024 and mad at Joe Biden for running again want something different. And that's sometimes a far left candidate. But look at Massachusetts, where Ed Markey has a really tough challenge with Seth Moulton, who's not further left than Markey. He's more moderate than Markey is, but he's younger, he's fresher, he's trying to make something feel different and like a change agent. So it's not just left and right, but there's a real challenge if you're an incumbent establishment politician right now in America. That's tough. That's a tough way to go.
So how did the establishment get to this point?
Well, the establishment got to this point in part because of what Dan just mentioned. But, John, I have to talk about this quite a lot. I've been on this air quite a lot talking about these wannabe red diaper babies who we've got out here. And you know, it is, I don't think it really has come across to people how disgusting this actually is. Those young voters right there, they're not being sold something new. They're being sold something very old and failed. These people, these influencers, they want to, I mean, which is the party that El Sayed had to close out his primary the other day. There are a bunch of people from New York and LA who fly in and gather around a pool to sell people on the losing side of the Nixon-Khrushchev kitchen debate and present it as if it's something innovative and new instead of the actual failed communist policies that it actually is. And that bill of goods is being sold on a daily basis to young Americans who do desire change. They are anti-establishment. You're not wrong about that. But the change that they are being sold is something that will doom this economy and doom this country, and it's one of the most anti-American things that I've ever seen. And I think that these people, it's these Twitch Trotskyites, they should just, I'm sorry, leave this country if you hate it so much.
Well, I'm sure that this time around they think it will work.
Of course. It's never been tried before.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.